Hi there, thanks for joining us for a bit of a chat ahead of the 2010 Formula One season. I've got a few friends with me. I'm not on my own, because that wouldn't be a very good conversation, would it? Right, let's start. Michael Schumacher. A couple of guys that have driven with him, someone that brought him into Formula One, a man who commentated on his races for a long time. Who wants to start? Who's most excited out of all of us? Come on, Martin, you've got a nice grin on your face.
Biggest story of the season by some margin. Schumacher returns after 3 years away. Can he still cut it against these young guys? The field is so much stronger than it was. The quality and depth is there now that he didn't have, I think, during the main part of his career. I think he's going to find it really tough.
He's really up for it, though. I mean, we were out in testing, weren't we? And he looked so relaxed. Remember, that's one of the reasons he gave up, because he got sort of weighed down by everything. I haven't seen him smile so much almost in 3 days as I've ever seen him before, almost like 3 years. Absolutely like reborn. So much energy, so much excitement. Taking it quite cleverly, I think, in terms of downplaying it. We're not going to win the first race. Let's see how we go. But he's really up for it, you can tell. Really looking forward to it.
You know him socially, DC. I know you don't talk about that much, but you see quite a bit of Michael. How do you sort of assess his psyche at the moment? Is he really as up for this challenge as people think he is?
Well, I think, there was a lot of debate about whether he was making a mistake coming back at 41. But I think that we have to appreciate it's not like a boxer getting back in the ring, where, physically you just can't hold back the clock. The large part of what happens in motor sport is down to the car, and obviously the driver has to point that in the right direction. But physically, there's no reason why he won't be as good as he was before. He just enjoys the challenge of driving racing cars, and he's finding everyday life a little bit boring.
Could you physically do it, you think, if you had to now? I mean, you don't feel like you've lost much being out of the car for a year?
Driving-wise, I would have no problem. Martin, the generation ahead of me, and he would have no problem in terms of driving. Physically, we would both need to step up our training to be up to speed. But,
I don't believe it, Martin.
I don't agree with it.
But the thing, that would probably come back a little bit quicker for me than Martin, because, I'm just a year out of the car.
Yeah.
But, no, you just need your neck, your shoulders, things like that to be in top shape. I think that, you've said this before, it's not that you lose the speed, you lose the need, I think, was your quote. And, Michael lost the need to put in all the hours when he retired 3 years ago. And now he's taken time away, got a little bit bored falling off motorbikes and doing whatever else, appearances and things like that. And he knows he's got a great chance to come back and have fun.
I am going to steal that quote for our output this year. EJ, you've been quiet so far. Come on.
I disagree. I think at 41...
The perfect start to a new Formula One season.
I disagree. You cannot possibly tell me at 41 that he's in as good a condition as somebody who's at the prime, 24... Sorry, hang on. I need to say what I say. He said he's as fit and he's as good. He cannot possibly. And the biggest problem is, if there's going to be an injury around, he's going to pick it up quicker at 41, because the body, listen, we're not superhuman. He's the same as everybody else. His body is 41 years on this planet, and somebody else at 25, if the talent and the speed is the same, where he has an advantage in the past, he had the speed. He will always have that speed, but whether he has the physical presence and content of his physique to be able to maintain the challenge, which Martin has alluded to, it'll be a much bigger challenge because there's a lot better talent there.
He's more at risk in the rent-a-car on the way into the circuit than he is driving the car. How old was Damien Hill when he won the title? 39? I think he was. He was late 30s.
Nigel Mansell.
And Michael's been a lot fitter than they ever were for decades. He'll have no problem.
But he wants it, doesn't he?
The one proviso I'd say that I noticed in Barcelona at the test, when he was talking to a group of journalists around a table, he turned with his eyes like that. His neck is clearly still very stiff. And he mostly it was the shoulders and the eyes, never the neck.
But I think you have to remember that you don't need to be a sort of
long neck.
gymnast to drive the racing car. You just, your eyes are picking out the line. So, I don't disagree with Eddie that at 41 he wouldn't be as fit as he was when he was 22, but that's not the point. Grand Prix racing is not about physically being the strongest and fittest person. It's about having the mind, the reactions, the decision-making capability. And a Michael Schumacher at 99% of his performance, if that's what he would be now, is still good enough to beat a number of guys out there on the grid.
He's not all of the guys?
No, not all. I think he needs to deliver at 100%.
But he's not going to lose the racecraft, is he? He's not going to lose the wisdom.
Actually, I think he could. I think he will lose that.
Why?
I think, see, this is because in racecraft, when you go to the first corner, you don't think, you just go. It's instinctive. The moment you start thinking, and some people, when they get a little bit freaked, a little bit scared after an incident, an accident, You know, you have different responsibilities as you get older. If you start to think about that, then that's it. You're never going to compete with the kids. And what I've said before the show is that we're getting a real-life experiment here of an opportunity to see a legend of motorsport coming back at 41 to demonstrate whether he still has that hunger and that need to just instinctively go wheel to wheel with a Hamilton or Alonso or any of these other sort of young guys who.
So do you think he may even? I mean, he's there for a 3-year deal, isn't he? Do you think he may even last that then? Is there a question mark possibly?
Yeah, definitely. I don't see how he can. He never committed to a 3-year deal when he was at any other team. Why would you commit to it now?
I think
it's take pressure off.
Yeah, they're just buying time so that they don't end up all the inevitable questions about August, September time. Yeah. But I completely agree with David. I think he'll be rusty with his racecraft, and I can't wait to see him side by side with a Ferrari.
Or Lewis Hamilton. We actually, we were down at McLaren. We put that question to Lewis Hamilton. You're alongside Michael Schumacher going into the first turn at Bahrain. Who lifts first? And I don't mind telling you now, although he's going to say it on the television soon. I never lift first. Was Lewis Hamilton's reaction. That is the reaction of one driver, and every single driver in that whole field is going to want to prove a point to Michael Schumacher. Whether it's his teammate who thought he'd be driving with Jensen, whether it's Sebastian Vettel who wants to be the great new young German. You've got to agree. Every young driver is going to want to prove a point.
I think that when they're wheel to wheel, it doesn't matter if it's Schumacher or whether whoever. They're just trying to get the corner. And it's a very easy thing for Lewis to say, I never lift first. They have to say that. The bottom line is the clever racing drivers know that you have to slow down for the corner at some point, and you're not going to drive past your braking point to show how brave you are, because you're just going to crash.
It makes a difference, though, if it's Schumacher, doesn't it? Isn't there going to be some slight emotional element, Martin, when they see who it is? They don't want to be the first driver to be pushed off by Michael Schumacher on his return.
To an extent, he might as well have a big target on his rear wing. Yeah, I agree with you in that respect. But, they're all there to win the title, win the races, take the points away. So I think if they get too hooked up on the fact, psychologically, that it's Michael Schumacher, will he overtake me? Can I overtake him? Then they'll lose, basically, against him. But I think the young guys see him as a wonderful opportunity to enhance their own reputations.
OK, let's finish off with this then. I want to know how he's going to do in Bahrain and over the course of the season. Will he be world champion? Let's start this end and work our way down.
Will he be world champion? I don't think he'll be world champion. I think if the car is as Mercedes hope it is, with this new floor coming, the new diffuser, it should be more on the pace. I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him on the podium.
Race wins?
I don't see why not. I think he'll be there.
EJ?
I didn't get a proper shot at that question, so I'm going to interject
You'll get your
here.
chance
I'm going to say what I need to
worry.
say. If I was his father, I would have said to him, son, why? Why? 7 times world champion. He must be out of his mind. In life, you, as an individual with that sporting legacy, you have to give your sport up, not the sport give you up, and he's putting himself in that position. He's becoming into a situation where he could become a sad, rejected man if he gets whipped. He won't get whipped because he's that good. Can he win a race? Yes.
Title?
Why should he do it? He's mad. Title, not a hope.
Very nice. Martin?
Never underestimate Michael Schumacher. I'd be amazed if he doesn't win races. I'd be rather surprised if he took the title.
To keep it brief, I agree with Martin.
OK, wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you very much. There you go, Michael Schumacher, just one talking point for a new Formula 1 season. And don't forget that you can see all of the build-up and all the preparation the weekend of the 13th and 14th, the Bahrain Grand Prix. We'll see you then.